home learning series, Anyone Can. If you can see it, you can be it. I'm so excited for this Making Media Magic series. This is episode 2. I'm Lonai Mosely. I'm a writer, producer, director, visual artist, and entrepreneur. And today I have a special guest. I'm so excited. This is my Sony A6100. It's a mirrorless 4K digital camera. Footage is saved to an SD card, and then it's easy to pop into your computer for editing or transferring files or any of that. So far, our series has been shot with this camera, and it's 4K ready, which can be uploaded to YouTube. Now, there's a lot of generations of Ks at this point. I think it's all the way up to 11 or 12. However, keep in mind, if you're gonna go for the next generation of this, YouTube is still at 4K. So this is a good choice. I'm gonna talk to you a bit about this camera, but also I wanna let you know if it's not in the budget right now, or if you go for a less expensive model, that's fine too. Because as you probably know, so many people are shooting amazing video footage on their smartphones. If you have an iPhone or an Android, they have multiple cameras. Some of them shoot in 4K. They have decent audio, but you can always hook up an internal mic, an external microphone, and film the audio as needed or record the audio as needed. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what this camera can do, and then I'm going to show you a little bit about where the controls are, where the buttons are, where the functions are on this camera. And you see it's very small, it's compact, it's lightweight. So sometimes if you go places where they don't allow big lens cameras and things like that, this is a perfect choice because it's small, it's compact. As you can see, it fits into my hand nicely, and it's pretty user-friendly. The menu's extensive, but we'll go through it a bit, okay? So stand by for close-up schematics of our Sony A6100. Okay, here's our Sony A6100. So we're right here by the lens. This lens is a FE 1.8-50. Basically, it's good for distances up to about, I'd say, comfortably 3 to 5, 6 feet, like that. It doesn't have zoom capabilities, so I use it on a tripod with this lens, okay? The first thing we often like to know is, where is the power button, right? A lot of people don't know, unless you're familiar with these type of cameras, where the power button is. There's also another dial here which tells you where the functions are, the settings are. Right now we have it set to video because, as I had mentioned, most of the shoot was done on this camera. Okay, so this is the back panel. So here's your menu button. Here's your other settings. Okay, framing, ISO, all of that helps you determine how you want your images to look and feel, as well as the speed of the shutter, which has a lot to do with how much light you have coming in, whether you're shooting in, a darker environment, all of that. You can spend some time looking up those meanings and those settings. Of course, there in the left corner is your viewfinder. And of course, that's what you look through to capture your images. Right here is an interesting feature. This screen, I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, one of the features I really like about this camera is its monitor. Look at the movement on this. You know, depending on how you're shooting, you may be at a certain angle where you need to see your monitor in a different way, right? So it comes out. You know, if you're shooting from a different perspective, you can rotate it. It's really pretty cool. I like it a lot. Right? And then right on top of that is your flash. So if you need flash, if you're doing photography, your flash is there. You know, also here, I think I spoke a bit about your ISO. You know, that determines your speed and your light, all of that. Your settings, your playback is here, your delete is here, all that good stuff. So it's a pretty user-friendly camera. You know, it's pretty clear. Okay, so this button right here, when the camera's on, you just press that, and that's your record button. Okay? Your shutter button here on the top is right on top of your on and off button. So you just press that to take a still photo. But remember, if you're going to be in still photo mode, you have to adjust your settings because as you can see, there's a film frame right there. So if you're going to be, say you want to shoot manually where you're adjusting the lens, it just easily rotates. You select manual. All of these are for different, you know, like action, portrait, still shots, different things like that. There's also an auto setting here. So if you put it on auto, then the camera's pretty smart. It knows what you're shooting and it will accommodate you. So again, here is the microphone input, or you can also mount a one of the longer microphones, a windscreen, various things can be mounted here, as well as additional lighting. You can put a mounted LED camera light here. So again, it's very compact, it's very smart. So we're going to take a look at the menu next. Okay, so here we are in camera settings 1. And so now I'm just going to click this and it's going to take us right in to all the different settings that are available to us. So right now this is asking for JPEG file format. If we want that, it talks about JPEG quality. You can choose, you know, do you want it to be standard, fine, extra fine, all that good stuff. And then image size, ratio, large, medium, small, which I have it on 24 right now because I would like large files, okay? Aspect ratio. Okay, let's take a look, and there's lots inside each, but this is just a few to give you an idea. Camera setting 2, this is movie 1, okay? So while you're in movie mode, there's your file formats, your recording settings. You know, I'm still learning about all of these myself, so as we continue the series, we'll learn more together. This network will help you send your footage to the computer, view on a TV, you know, control it with your smartphone, be in airplane mode, Wi-Fi settings, you know, what's available to you, access points and so forth, so that it automatically logs on to whatever internet and Wi-Fi you're using. This is really a smart camera. It takes some time to learn it. I'm still learning it myself. So there's your playback mode. You can create your project files, rotate, delete, you know, all of that is here. Okay. And then this is your monitor brightness. You know, or your monitor, this one is monitor brightness, but those are your camera functions as well. Viewfinder, if your viewfinder is a little dark, you can brighten that up so you can see better. color temperature if you want to make it a little warmer, your volume settings, tile menu, and dial guide. And then here's your JPEG quality. You can store that for your selection. Okay, great. So I hope you enjoyed that short overview tutorial about our Sony A6100 mirrorless 4K digital camera. Now we're going to talk a bit about angles and shots. And so when you think of shot, it's basically taking a picture from your perspective, as we had mentioned in episode 1. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of various shots. There are many, but today we're going to just talk about 4. So the first one that you see right now is a wide shot. And again, remember we spoke about how wide shots are sometimes establishing shots, or they show the viewer landscapes or cityscapes, things like that, right? They're usually from a distance. As you can see, I'm centered right now. Normally, we wouldn't necessarily just put the subject in the middle, but for these purposes of filming the tutorial today, I'm in the middle. I want you to take notice of the amount of space I have on the sides. So now, if I was in one of the corners, you'd still have a good amount of space. If you're shooting with a green screen, or if you're adding in some subtitles or some transitions or anything like that, it makes it interesting, because if you're shooting with a green screen, some of you may know, you can basically drop in whatever background you want. So if you're shooting at different angles, it allows you to do a lot of different things during editing, which makes me excited, because I know I can place myself anywhere. I can be in space, I can be in the country, I can be in a classroom. It just really depends. So for today, we're just shooting with a black background so that I can give you an overview idea of what the angles are. So the next shot we'll take a look at is the medium shot. Cut. Okay, so the next shot we're looking at is the medium shot. And basically, medium shots are often referred to as waist-up shots. They're somewhat tight. It's like when you don't want a full body length. Like in a wide shot or a full body, you see the person's legs, sometimes their feet. But for these purposes, you're just now seeing a medium shot, which is just basically a waist-up shot. And why would you use that? Say if 2 people were here and they were having a conversation, you'd be more interested in seeing those reaction shots or the interaction between 2 people talking, as well as if you plan on focusing on a particular detail in the background, or say for example, you could even focus on a person, but then if you have activity in the background that you want to blur, you can do that as well. Okay. The next shot is a close-up. Now, close-ups, as we had mentioned earlier, basically give you some insight about, somebody's reaction or emotions, or, sometimes they're used to build suspense, or, they may also create some sort of intrigue. Like, say, for example, something occurred, a conflict point in the script occurs, and then they kind of zoom in a little because now you're anticipating what might happen. So those are a couple of examples of what a close-up is used for. And finally, the last shot I'm going to talk to you about today is the extreme close-up. So basically, if you see an extreme close-up like this, you know that it's usually, more often than not, used for some sort of emotional distress or some intrigue or, some suspense. because you may see a bead of sweat trickle down someone's brow, something like that. Or you may see fear, maybe they're hiding, they got scared in the dark, it depends on what your storyline is. So those are several of the shots, and we're gonna look a little bit more into them as we explore the other departments. So please stay tuned for episode 3, where we're gonna talk about lighting. We're going to talk a little bit more about your editing process, dropping footage onto the timeline, creating effects, creating transitions. So I'm excited for that. So thank you again for joining JCAL at Home Learning Series. Anyone can. Just remember, if you can see it, you can be it. I'm your host, Lonai Mosely. And thank you, and see you in episode 3.